I got to share this with you. I've got to. To my friends supporting Hillary Clinton. Now, she didn't send it to me as a supporter. She sent it to me as just a copy of what she's sending to her friends who support Hillary Clinton. You are probably not aware, but you are trying to take something from me. And by extension, you are trying to take something away from our country. I recall a conversation I had last year with my 32-year-old daughter and some of her friends. We were discussing politics, of course. In trying to help them understand what it means to be a Democrat, I suddenly realized that they were way too young to have experienced a true Democratic president in their lifetime. And this is true. I believe that the last true Democrat to be president was FDR. One only has to read the Second Bill of Rights to understand that FDR carried the banner for the Democratic cause higher than anyone else. Unfortunately, FDR would not live long enough to enact the tenets of his vision. Ironically, we applied some of FDR's vision when we rebuilt Germany and Japan. Some would say that JFK was a true Democrat, and you wouldn't get much of an argument from me. Simply read his statement on what it means to be a Democrat, and you will quickly realize that while some of his policies were not strictly in line with his party's thinking, inside, he held the heart of a true Democrat. I'm purposely avoiding the use of the word progressive, in that I believe this term really refers to a purer form of democratic thought. Many of us have become complacent about our party and in politics in general. This complacency over the past 30-plus years has allowed our party to slowly shift to the right, along with the Republican Party. We barely noticed it, the change. It was incremental in its place, but destructive in its application. Incremental in its pace, but destructive in its application. We had become so complacent that we hardly noticed how corrupt our campaign system was becoming. How else do you explain the steady growth of money's influence over our policies? I think that we simply let this complacency turn into acceptance. That is, we accepted the corruption as simply a part of doing business in modern politics. We even went so far as to set aside our concern as the corruption grew. We were in some form of denial. And then, like some long-lost friend stepping out of the fog, came Bernie Sanders. What is it about Bernie's campaign that has struck such a chord with many of the American electorate? For me, it's simple. Bernie Sanders represents the original soul of the Democratic Party. How long we have waited, how many decades have passed where we simply accepted the changes in our party. And even though we were in denial and complacent about what has happened to our cause, there was always a small part of our being, a tiny spark that remembered. There's a lot of talk about how Bernie Sanders has captured the attention and support of the youth in our country. While I won't argue this point, I assure you that there are plenty of people my age, 63, that are as passionate about Bernie's run as any millennial. While we are not old enough to have lived during FDR's time, there was enough residual present that we remember. We remember that our party once stood for the people, especially those that were underrepresented and had fallen through the cracks. Remember, we were once known as the party of the people. Over the years, we have lost sight of our purpose, our dream. Once Bernie stepped onto the stage, we began to remember. Millions who held that spark deep in their soul saw a familiar face, familiar words, a familiar dream. I am not anti-Hillary. Unlike some of my more passionate friends, I do not blame her for taking money from corporations or allying herself with the interests that often go against the true nature of our party. She can't help it. Like the rest of us, she was drawn into the incremental changes that our party and our country was experiencing. So small were those changes that it was barely noticeable. It took the arrival of someone like Bernie Sanders for us to clear our eyes and see exactly what has happened. Only with his presence in the campaign have we seen the overwhelming changes and thus the overwhelming differences in what our party used to be and what it has become. I firmly believe that if Bernie had not entered to the stage, we would have never gone as far as we have in criticizing Hillary Clinton. Yes, there would be some of us that would challenge her positions on a variety of issues, but we would have pretty much given her a pass. I started to feel sorry for Hillary. She's a casualty of our times. You see, I hope and believe that she is the last of the old party. Now that we have seen the resurgence of the original left, I don't think we will ever look back. The future is in the heart of Bernie Sanders. He may not be the actual representative, but someone will be, and soon. And so, what is this that Hillary supporters have endeavored to take from me? It is nothing less than the opportunity to return our country to the people. When you ask me to abandon Bernie Sanders, you are asking me to give up all that I believe in when it comes to our country. You are asking me to take the proverbial 2 steps back after I've taken 3 steps forward. Is it any wonder why so many Bernie supporters refuse to give up? Do you understand now why so many will not let go of the dream? You can't seriously ask me to do this when the opportunity is so rare and the consequences so dire. So, to my Hillary friends, be patient with those of us who support Bernie Sanders. It has taken a very long time for this opportunity to arise, and after all, we have been very patient. Page. Well, there's a lot in Page's letter that is a little wishy-washy for me, but you certainly get the point of what she's saying. And like Page, there are quite a few of us, aren't there, who, if we talk about the horrible conditions that we are facing in this country politically, we know people who still believe, they honestly believe, because they are ignorant, that the way out of this is to elect Hillary Clinton president. And you can stand there and try to explain to them till you're blue in the face that she will not lead us out of anything. She will, in fact, take us deeper into this neocon, neoliberal, fascist, corporate-controlled bullshit that is destroying the planet. How do you explain that to somebody who won't listen, who has a Hillary bot block? You can't get through. My advice, don't waste your time. That's what I've been doing. At this stage, in this horrible political season, nobody, I don't think, is going to be convinced to let go of any candidate that they have attached themselves to, like lampreys. When these candidates drop off, when all those followers of Piyush Jindal, Piyush, don't quit, goodbye, they just fall into the muck. The Rubio followers, into the muck. The Kasich followers, let's hope that the same thing happens to the former Secretary of State, into the muck. We need somebody with a moral sense, with an ethical sense, someone who can take a look at what has happened to this country and first of all, acknowledge that it's happened.